what shtarcha biyadi my boy is. Shtarcha biyadi my boy. Again, I'm holding a star. You say that you paid. And I say, no. Why am I holding the star then? If you paid, why am I still holding the star? So is that because of umdina birur? There's an umdina. If I'm still holding the star, you obviously didn't pay yet. That's the simple understanding. Or no. It's not about, we could assume that you didn't pay. No, even if we know you paid, but you didn't pay in front of witnesses. The halacha is, if I'm holding the star against you, you have an obligation to pay me back in front of witnesses. That's it. That's the requirement. You say you paid up already? So you know what I'll say? Even if you did, you didn't pay in front of witnesses. And that's my right. If I have a star, you have to pay me in front of witnesses. And again, he got that from the opposite formulation of the Rambam. The Rambam puts the therefore in the opposite way. There's a star, you need Eidim, therefore you're not believed to say Pa'arati. Instead of the opposite, as I would have thought. Maybe, Reb Chaim doesn't say this, but maybe this is Gufa the Machlokas between the Shach and the Ksos. Remember, what are we trying to explain? The Shach says, Shtarcha biyadi my boy weakens Eidim. If the Eidim say it's paid up already, but the star weakens them, why is that? That could only be if the star is some type of birur too. The Eidim are the ultimate birur. But if you say that chazaka is a type of umdana birur, so that's how it could even go against Eidim. Eidim, why is he still holding the star if he paid up? Doesn't that prove that it's not paid up? So the Shach holds it's a type of umdana. But maybe the Ksos says no. Nothing to do with birur. It's just that you have to pay up in front of Eidim. Not about birur, but once you have Eidim, Eidim is the ultimate birur. Eidim beats everything. That's why the Ksos says you can have 1,000 chazakos against these Eidim. It's not going to make a difference. So maybe at root is how they look at Shtarcha biyadi ma'ibay. That's Reb Chaim's Diak and the Rambam, and that's the Shach and the Ksos. Again, that's a big topic. You can look back in the Mefarshim, Ba'abashra Daf Ayin. That's where the main sugya is. Look at the Mefarshim there, the Rishonim, and to go from there. Okay, so this takes us through sugya number 15 here in Yeish Nochlin. Again, there's a lot more here, but that's as far as we're going to go. And what we're going to do now is to start the Chazara. Start Chazara. Again, those who came a little late, I sent out my notes. I sent them to Ellie. 5 of them should be already on the chat. Feel free to use that as a crutch. But again, just go at your own pace. See which works. Does it work to go slower and do less topics? Just get them well, or just to get an overview. But some of them are basic Yesodos. And B'ez Hashem, I'll make up a test for those who want to, only for your own benefit to be able to take the test for review. I don't know what day that is. Probably be sometime the end of next week in Av. But again, that's just for your purposes. Okay, let's at least start the first topic. Let's try to do that today as much as we can. That was one of the biggest topics that we did, the mitzvah of Yerusha. The mitzvah of Yerusha. Right? The mitzvah of Yerusha. We had them started off with the machlokas between the Rambam and the Ramban. How many mitzvahs? Okay, those who want to, I'll wait 30 seconds. Those of you who want to get a notes, notebook, paper and pen, active listening, try to get some, just to write some things down, to look it up. But again, you have it in front of you. You can print it out and take notes on my notes, if that helps. Good. So machlokas the Rambam and the Ramban. The Rambam holds one mitzvah of Yerusha. One mitzvah of Yerusha. You can't forget which mitzvah. Which mitzvah? The Rambam is mitzvah of Yerusha. Last one, 248. Mitzvah 248. Ramach. That's the mitzvah saseh of Yerusha. And the Ramban counts 2. The Ramban counts 2. The mitzvah of Yerusha, the mitzvah of Bechor. He says Bechor is a separate mitzvah. So what's the lumdus behind that machlokas? Right? Why would you count one mitzvah? Why would you count 2 mitzvahs? Number 1. Number 2, I'm not going to go through everything inside, but just the main points. Number 2, we had a machlokas rishonim in Ba'abasar Kuf Chav Dalid. Can somebody be mevater, be masalik themselves on their Yerusha? I don't want it. Could they say, I don't want my Yerusha? Is that possible? So that was a machlokas. The Rashbam, the Rimiga said no. It's memela, balkarcha the yoresh. You can't get out of it. Can't get out of it. Well, the Ran, we spent a lot of time on this Ran. The Ran and the Ravid and the Rashba say no. Even the chelik hapashit, not only the bechor, the double portion could be, refused, but even the chelik hapashit, not just the chelik the second chelik. So again, what's that machlokas about? Whether you could refuse to get Yerusha. I don't want the Yerusha. Remember what was that case? Because if I get the Yerusha, I'm going to have to pay all of my father's debts. I don't want to get my. You can't be transmitted through kinyanim. Davar sheina b'shuso, davar shelo bala olam. You could yarshin a chov. You can't be kone a chov. Be yarshin a chov. A shvua. I'm not sure at the time whether it was Dovi. Was Dovi here? I don't see him here. Right? I think he was the one that pointed out the Gemara Baba Kama Kufyat. Maybe it was Eli. I don't remember. Baba Kama Kufyat Aleph about Rishus Yoresh Rishus Lokeach or not. We said that was at Machlokas in the beginning of the last paragraph of Baba Kama Kufyat Aleph on the base. Rishus Yoresh Rishus Lokeach. Maybe embedded in that lashon is the secret. Is one of the major chakiras in this parak. And that is, how does Yerusha work? Is it what's called havara? It's a transfer. It's similar to a kinyan, but lav dafka. There's a transfer of property, havara, the focus on the chefsa, or no, it's kam tachtav. Or no, it's the yoresh stands in the shoes of the morish. And again, you might be mechalik between different types of yarshim. Remember, we saw the Klei Chemda, who said that's why it's not mafurish. Yerusha of a son is not mafurish. It just says if there is no son, it goes to the daughter. Because Yerusha of a son is not even Yerusha. It's not Havara. It's just, going kam tachtav. To use that, again, the lashon of kam tachtav is used specifically by Steachuza and by Yud. But we're using that in a more general sense of a stepping into the shoes. Stepping into the shoes. And throughout this parak, there were formulations like that. So he said maybe this is the machlokas rishonim about whether you could refuse, right? If it's kam tachtav, you're stepping in the shoes. You can't. It's not something that you acquire. It's not passed to you. You just step into the shoes of the morish, so you can't refuse that. And masha'enkein, if there is a havara, there's a transfer like a kinyan, so maybe there's more of a chance that you'd be able to refuse it. And we also said maybe that's the machlokas between the Rambam and the Ramban, right? Whether it's one or two mitzvahs, right? If you say it's if they're similarly working, or they work the same way. According to the Rambam, maybe it's one mitzvah because they both work the same way. It's a ha'avara. The Ramban counts it as two because maybe the chelik ha'pashut and the chelik b'char work differently. One is stepping into the shoes, right? That's the chelik ha'pashut, and then one is just getting a matana, like the Gemara calls it a matana. B'char is called a matana. Okay, and then related, we did the who and the when. We did the who and the when. Who first? Who is chayiv in this mitzvah? The mitzvah of Yerusha. Who is the mitzvah on? So the Rambam's lashon seems to be on Bezdin. The mitzvah is upon Bezdin to make sure everybody does what they're supposed to be doing. Mitzvah upon Bezdin to judge Seder Nachlos. Seder Nachlos. The chinuch seems to focus on the person himself. The chinuch needs to focus on the person. If he doesn't allow Yerusha to flow naturally, so then he is being mevatel the mitzvah. That's the language of the chinuch. The language of that we discussed later, masna mashagasa b'Torah. That sounds pretty personal, right? That you are trying to make it t'nai. It sounds like that's in your control. But again, that could be a machlokas. That could be a machlokas rishonim about who the mitzvah is on. And finally, the when. A fascinating discussion. When does the mitzvah of Yerusha is really obviously after death? But we said it could be that there's some connection of the assets even before death. Even before death. The Rashba in a few places we saw says no, only after death. Only after death, but we saw the Ran. Remember the Ran Ksubis. Ran Ksubis in the beginning of HaKosev, talking about a case of whether you could be Masalik yourself. The Ran's Lashon was Ki'ilu Zachaba. Since it's royally Yarsho, he already has a connection to it beforehand. And therefore, certain halachas kick in. And we saw the Nesibis also has that Lashon. So we said that this also might connect to what the Chakir we said before. If you say it's stepping into the shoes of somebody, it's hard to step into the shoes of somebody if they're still wearing their shoes. Right? They're still alive. But if it's Havara, if it's the type of Kinyan, so then maybe it could happen even if before the person dies. That was in terms of the who and the when. The who and the when. This was the first sugya. That was the mitzvah of Yerusha. Should I give guys time to look over some of the notes before I go further? What do you? How you get more out of it? That was number one, Yerusha. So we'll do one more for today, and then again, I'm giving another shiur in a little bit. That feel free to Ellie, you'll send out the link if other people want to have it. Yerusha of brothers. Yerusha of brothers. This was the next one we did. Yerusha Ha'achim. So we spoke about the Tosfos at the beginning of the parak. Tosfos even has a line. The Mishnah might not even have to write Achim min ha'av. Right? Once you know, children, right? Ben, right? Ben es ha'av and av es ha'ben. And when the man dies, then his father, then you know it. So what does that question highlight? Tosfos both on Kuf Chesam and Aleph and Kuf Chesam and Beis. Right. This is going to get into again the beginning of the parak. We did some of the major ideas in the in this parak. Number two, we saw that the Sifri explicitly uses the lashon of Achim Ba'im Mikoach Ha'av. Right. We had a question in the Shakla V'Tarya at the beginning of the parak. The Gemara gives different impressions about whether brothers go directly to each other or go through the father. Again, I'll say the answer now before we see the nafkaminas. This was the concept of mishmush versus yashir. Mishmush is Yerusha that goes through. Two brothers yarshin each other. Is that because one brother gets it from the other brother, or one brother, it goes to the father and then it goes down to the brother? Mishmush. So that is also an important topic. That's mishmush can apply in many relationships of Yerusha, but it could be that brothers are unique. Could be that brothers are different. Brothers are different, right? We saw later on, maybe brothers are unique. So this we related this to the Ramban. The Ramban, that was the main source in the sugya, wondered why isn't Av mentioned explicitly? Father is not mentioned. Right? It mentioned son, and then daughter, and then brothers. So the Ramban has 3 days. The Ramban says, this is the Ramban on Chumash, right? Nachla is 2-directional. So it is mentioned. If it says ben Av, it means Av ben 2. 1 day. But then the second our issue, Mishmush versus Ma'isa Yashir. Mishmush versus Ma'isa Yashir. Right? The Meiri Beferish has two categories about this. Maybe this is for the Machlokas, the different stages of the Gemara. The Rambam we said is not so clear. The Shitas HaRambam, right? This you could spend some time on about how the Rambam, whether he holds by brothers. Right? He calls Achim Ro'ui Liyarsho, not Ro'i Liyoresh Es Aviv, which sounds like it's direct. Right? The Rambam in Hilchos Rotseach talks about Ro'i Liyarsho as defining Goel Hadam. Right? A couple of other Rambams, he seems to say that it's direct from brother to brother, but there are other references in the Rambam, if you look at the notes, that give the other impression. So what we came up with was that maybe it's a little somewhere in the middle. Maybe it's somewhere in the middle. Right? What does mishmush mean? We said this from one of the Achronim. Who was it? The Imre Moshe. The Imre Moshe. What exactly does mishmush mean? Does mishmush mean it just goes straight through? Right? Not literally, where it goes through his dead brother. You can't be ma'avir b'kefer. So maybe mishmush means that when the father dies, right? Let's say you have Ruvain and Shimon and Yaakov. So when Yaakov dies, he yarshins the zchuyos to inherit to his sons. So it's not that when Ruvain dies, now it goes to Yaakov and then it goes down to Shimon. No. When Yaakov dies, he yarshins to his two sons the power to yarshin who he was supposed to yarshin. So when Ruvain dies, yeah, it's going through Yaakov, but not really through Yaakov. He yarshined earlier the schus to yarshin to each of his sons, but that middle formulation helps with the Rambam and helps put these two ideas together. It is direct, but it's not direct. Each brother yarshin the schus from their father, so it is going through the father because the father yarshin them the schus, but the actual assets are going straight one to the other. So that was a beautiful idea that we had at the end. We did mention just the Dvar Shkaf at the end of this sugya, and that is, thinking about brothers. That itself might be a unique type of relationship. Right? On the one hand, my brother is not directly related to me. It's only my brother because of my parents. But mitzad sheni, my brother is the closest to me because he has the same ingredients. Right? He has the same ingredients that created. So in a sense, I'm closer to my brother than my father. My father has his own parents. A carbon copy, the same source, in a certain sense, is the closest. And maybe that's how the Gemara in Kovches could be understood. It's a havamina that the brother should even go before the father. But this is Yerushas. Ha'ach. That is number 2. But again, the first 2 sugyas allowed us to get into 2 of the major topics, Havara or Mishmush versus Maaseh Yashir. Okay, we'll do those today. We'll continue next time with Ben Bas Ach Beyibum. That'll be the 3rd, and hopefully